Good evening, everyone. This is Paul Michael. We are going to get started in about 2 minutes. Let everybody jump on here on a Thursday night. Appreciate you joining us from wherever you are around the country. And we will get started in about 2 minutes. All right, I'm going to give it another 30 seconds to 40 seconds, and then we will get started here this evening. All right. I'm just going to take a look at everybody that's joining us this evening. I'm not turning on the second part of our deal, but it's so funny. I found out that whenever we turn the chat on, we get a lot of people that start asking questions instead of actually listening. And they're, every one of us thinks everything that we want is the most important thing at the time. And a lot of times that's true. But tonight I want to go through a real quick overview of the company. I'm very, very excited about how things are going, where we're going. Tonight, I'm actually going to announce something that will be pretty exciting to everyone. Once we're going to do about a 10 to 15 minute overview. I'm going to go as quickly as I can, kind of give you an overview of the company. But I'm going to tell you a little bit real quickly about why we started this company, how we started this company, and where we're going with what we're doing. So, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and get the owners are called Snap Partners, and we are a marketing firm. And as a marketing firm, we go out and we find latest and greatest trends. We bring them to our salespeople. We have about 40,000 people that have registered with our company to sell different products over the last couple of years. I mean, we've been in the delivery space. My main partner, Tony Swantak, built a company in the accounting space that before we even got involved with bringing it out to Snap Partners, and the Snap Partners are our affiliate, our parent company. And Tony brought that in and ended up building a company that was over 10 billion. Now, Snap has built over $1 billion within that, but I mean, within 2 years, he built a company that was revenue and helping businesses claim about $10 billion in tax credits. Pretty good when it comes to disruption and finding industries, taking massive action and helping people do great at it. And so just quickly, my background is that I wasn't a salesperson. I grew up in Texas. I ended up waiting tables in a country club. Wasn't really going many places with my life. But I met a gentleman at 22 that started teaching me more about. Somebody's asking me if I'm launching the Zoom right now. I think the Zoom is launched. It's so funny. Give me 1 second. We are actually on. It's give me 1 second. I hate to leave people out, so let me send somebody a text message real quick. Apologize. It's all held up by one person, usually, huh? Actually, I can't get to it. I'm not gonna. So here's the thing. So real quickly, prior to getting involved in this industry, I waited tables in a country club. I met a guy at 22 that goes, listen, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you got. I was 22 years old and I lived with 3 guys in the house. I didn't have a car. I couldn't have participated in the rideshare at that point anyway, because I didn't have a car. And so things were a lot different 20, 30 years ago. But the one thing that has always stayed true and always stuck with me is he taught me, he goes, listen, if you want to be successful, one of the easiest ways to do it is to find a big solution to a big problem and you get a big paycheck. And that's what I've done for the last 30 plus years is find solutions to problems. And about 6 months ago, I was looking for a new product line that I could bring, product line or service that I could bring out to the field within our company. And I've dealt with delivery. We built a company that became an Inc. 500 company with about $30 million in sales and 30 million annually. We ended up selling out to some of the bigger companies because they were doing things that we really didn't think we could, do long term. But we came up with a solution. We had Snap Delivered, which is a part of our company now. But about 6 months ago, I started looking at different avenues. I needed something that I knew about. I didn't want to get involved in something that I didn't have any clue about. And rideshare, I knew. I ride with enough drivers. I've actually driven for Uber when they first came out. I thought it was such a great concept. And in the beginning, I think it was. But I actually worked with a lot of people, and I drive all the time. I travel the country. I mean, on Thanksgiving, on New Year's, on New Year's Eve, I took 4 different Ubers and Lyfts, which means I did 8 rides in one day. So I started going, let me see about this industry. Let me see if there's any way we can improve it. And I started talking to drivers, and I said, listen, what do you like most about what you do? And they would say the flexibility, the time, I work when I want, where I want, how I want, I can make as much money as I want, which isn't true. But that's what they thought. And maybe in the beginning, that's how it worked. But then what happened was I asked them what they didn't like. And they were talking about the earnings roller coaster, the high commission fees. One of the examples I always use is I was out in Utah about a year ago, actually it was 6 months ago. And I took a ride. I had to book it at 6 a.m, which means the driver had to accept the ride the night before, make sure they were up and on time to pick me up to get to my deal. So you would company, because somebody was going the extra mile, would give them more of the fee. I showed the driver that before the tip, it was $263, and that driver showed me that they were getting $95 of that $263. And the driver is the one that, they have earnings roller coasters up and down. They have high commission fees. The wear and tear on the vehicle for that person is there, right? Driver ratings. A driver can be deactivated without a clear cause. And oversaturation of driver, communication challenges, technology glitches, unpredictable passengers. Now, that's the one I may not completely be able to take care of, but I can also make it so that you don't have to deal with people that aren't great and that aren't doing the right thing. And so we started looking at what we could do to change it. And we didn't want to be just a technology company. Anybody can go out and build an app. I will promise you, I've built enough apps. I've dealt with enough developers. If you have enough money, you can go out and build anything. And Uber and Lyft and DoorDash and these companies, they are technology companies. And they're publicly traded companies where they worry about their bottom line and their shareholders. They're not so worried about the drivers in the company. And so we built an app. But we wanted to do it in a different way. And so we said REVO is a company that combines cutting edge blockchain technology, which I have tonight. But if you're into blockchain and you understand it, it is the next wave of way business is being done. Anybody that's anyone in technology and understands it knows that Web3 and technology are going to change the way business is done. And we are on the cutting edge of that. Like if I down and showed you for an hour what I've learned about blockchain in the last 2 months. If you don't know anything about blockchain or cryptocurrency or any of that, don't feel bad, because neither did I. But there was a time when none of us understood about cars. I mean, years ago, if I said, hey, someday you're going to pick up your phone and you're going to call a stranger to come pick you up. How many of us when we were younger, we were always taught, don't get in a car with strangers, right? Don't get in the car with strangers. Now we're taught, hey, here's an app on your phone that will call a stranger to come and pick you up. So now we've changed the way things are done. So we didn't want to have a company that wasn't based on people. We want to have a technology company, use the latest, greatest technology there is, but we want to have a company that is cutting edge blockchain, combines cutting edge blockchain technology with an action-based reward system that can create long-term residual income. We have one focus. That is to bring value to everyone involved with REVO and Snap Partners. And we always want to bring value to our clients. We want to bring value to the drivers, and we want to bring value to the people that work within our company. And it's so funny. People want to ask about, and I can get into the pay plan. I could dissect it. I could show you all kinds of different things about it. But the bottom line is, and I want you to get this ingrained in your head so that anytime people ask you a question, how does the company work? How does the pay plan work? Your answer is, I don't know everything about it. All I know is the client pays less, the driver makes more, and every time I refer someone, I get paid through dollars and I get rewarded with reward points. And I'm not going to get into that, but how many of us have ever, I'm staying in a hotel in New Orleans, Louisiana right now. I use Marriott every chance I can because I get points. I had 460,000 points at 560,000 points at one time. I didn't pay for my hotel tonight, and a very nice one here in New Orleans, because I built up points. So now people are going to be able to do rides with us, but not only are going to do rides with us and they pay, and a driver's going to get paid, that driver's going to get reward points. That customer's going to get reward points. That, you know, I look at it like this. If you could do a ride with Uber and it cost you $50, but if you use the REVO platform and it cost you $45, and if you used a token or reward system, you did it for $40, how many of you think that we'll be able to corner the market? How many of you use a reward system now? I have friends of mine, one of my best friends and my business partners in another business, his name's Giorgio. His mother plans out her week by who has double points. She'll go to Twisted Tuna on Monday because they have double points. She'll go to Duffy's on Tuesday because they have double points. And listen, this is not someone that's broke. This is not somebody that needs to save that money. They have gamified it and tokenized it and made it different. And so we're working on doing that too. I'm going to go to the next thing. Now, listen, people, like I just said, the numbers don't lie. You know, and we're working, and it's so funny because I had a guy that started beating me up on the internet last week. We're still in the infancy stages of everything. We're working on our algorithms. We will always make sure that it's less money that the customer is going to pay, more money that the driver is going to make, and then we're going to be able to reward people that send business to us. But in the infancy stages, I had a guy the other day that goes, oh, well, I'm not, you know, your prices are too low. I'm not going to be able to make money. And that makes sense to me. I talked to another gentleman today that said it in a nice way. One of the other guys said it in a jerk way. And he goes, listen, it's fine for a certain mileage, but then if you go over that, it's so incredibly lower that drivers don't think they're going to make more money. They think they're going to make more money with Uber, even though Uber's charging them almost twice what we are. And I said, well, you know what? We'll figure out a way to make the algorithm work. But in this example right here, this is what I personally did with one of my business partner, Dormal. He had the Lyft app up on his phone. We had the REVO app. One of us played the part of the driver. One of us played the part of the customer, even though we're sitting right next to each other in the car. And we did a drive on Lyft. It was exactly the same time of day, exactly the same mileage. And we did it for REVO as well. And in this instance, numbers don't lie. The client saved $3.18 with REVO, and the driver made $1.79 more with REVO. And if we can get these numbers, now listen, we're going to tweak it so it's not 28%. That's a lot. But I'd rather be paying, over promising or over delivering instead of over promising, which is what a lot of companies do. So in this example, the client pays 18% less with REVO, and the driver makes 28% more in this one example. And what I'm going to talk to you about tonight, we're going to do a little bit of, I'm not probably even going to go in. I usually do a break, but I'm so excited about what we're going to talk about tonight at the end that I know it is going to make it so that we can go national, not global, but national, go across the country in a very short amount of time. And let me explain something to you. I don't know exactly what day it's going to happen. I don't know exactly but I don't want cities to have to wait 6 months to open. And I've been racking my brain. I've been trying to figure out how we can open cities faster and make sure it works, because I've opened some cities. And listen, this is a different animal than Uber and Lyft. If you're a driver and you think you're just going to come over here, turn on your app, and you're going to get a bunch of rides, I'm sorry to tell you that's not going to happen. Because what we do is we pay through a referral system. We're not spending $100 million in advertising. Someday we will spend some money on advertising, but I would rather pay the people that bring us the business. Now, if you're a driver and you've never been in marketing, you're going to have to shift your mindset. And I've had some people that told me, listen, they're drivers. They're not going to change the way they think. They're not going to do things differently. And I said, well, if they don't, they're going to get left behind. So my job is not only to give you the greatest opportunity, my job is also to make you see just being a driver is not where it's at. building a sales team of people that go out and maybe you got a bunch of drivers that are driving for you, or you got a bunch of customers. Now, it's going to be different for some of you, but let me tell you something. Change is where success happens. If the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, and you expect a different result. So I'm going to work with people. We have a training coming up next month, the 20th, 21st in Jupiter, Florida, and it's limited to 100 people. There's a cost to go. And I had some people that go, well, I don't know if I want to go to that because I don't want to go to some rah-rah session and blah, blah. And I said, well, then you shouldn't go. I mean, I want positive, upbeat, motivated people. I got up at 4 o'clock this morning and left Florida. I haven't slept yet. As soon as we get done this, I'm hitting the bed. But I'm so excited and fired up because I've had a lot of people that are negative. Listen, the negative people are usually a lot louder than the positive people. But today I got to do a bunch of calls because I said, listen, I'm going to take the time instead of being in a plane. I have about 5 or 6 cities to go to. I would have spent more time in planes and in airports than I would have if I just drove it. And so I drove. I got up at 4 a.m. I had a 10 and a half hour drive to New Orleans, but I got to talk to some incredible people. And I'm going to let one of them share something in a little bit with you. But I started talking to people in the company who are fired up and excited and have great ideas. The great idea we had that's going to help us go national in a short amount of time didn't come from me. I don't know everything, and I'm very open to listening to people. Now, just because you give us an idea doesn't mean we're going to use it. But if it's an idea like this gentleman gave me, Mario out of Orlando today gave me, like I would be a moron to not institute it within our company in a very short amount of time. So I'm going to run through this quickly. You can get another video and find out about what we do, but I'm going to go through this as fast as I can because I want to get to the end so you can understand what we're doing and how this is going to change an industry and how we're going to help people. So there's 2 ways. There's the driver. Now, everyone will pay mileage on every ride. There will be a mileage fee. It will be less than what Uber and Lyft charge. And it's going to be different in every area because listen, there's so many factors and so many things that go into this. People don't understand. They're like, oh, I want to know what per mile it's going to be. Well, is it at a mile during the morning? Is it a mile in LA or depending on Wichita, Kansas? Like, where is it? If you tell me where we're at, I can tell what we're going to do. But we're working on algorithms. My guys are incredibly knowledgeable, but we're in the process of doing algorithms. And if any of you know how to do this stuff better than we do, send an email in to paul@revoride.com. Now, if you don't know what you're doing, I'm going to figure it out pretty quickly. But we have hired incredible people to help make sure that we do this right. So the beginning of this is the driver will make everything but $1 of the mileage fee. They keep everything but $1. And I'll tell you why we keep that $1 in a little bit. But the customer chooses one of 3 things. Now, once again, just remember, the mileage fee is always charged. That's it. And then there's the customer decides either pay $5 per ride. If they use it more than 6 times in a month, they're going to want to pick the monthly Freedom Pass at $30. So if you do 5, I mean, it just makes sense, right? There's some people that use the service so much, they take it. I have friends of mine that I know, they don't want to have a car. So they take it to work in the morning and they take it home at night. And it works out to cheaper than having to have insurance, to having a car, to having to pay for gas, to do all those things. And they love it. But customers get the choice. So they'll pay $5 a ride, $30 a month, or they'll pay $250 for a year. If they do that, they save $110 for the monthly fee. Now, 60% of every dollar or 60 cents of every dollar brought in through our referral program is paid back out to the field. I'm not going to get into how it all breaks down and how if you're higher levels, you can get paid overrides and bonuses. I'm going to talk to you mainly about the affiliate referral program, where if you go out and you bring someone in, say you brought me in and I use the service, I download, you have your own QR code, you have your own thing in the back office. And I say, listen, on a standard ride, it costs $5. If you introduce me to the company, every time I pay that $5, you're going to make $1 on that ride. How many of you think you're going to encourage me to use this service as much as possible? If I pay the $30 a month Freedom Pass Unlimited, I'm still going to pay mileage. That's never going to change. The mileage is always going to be there, but it's going to be cheaper than Uber and Lyft. And now you're going to make 20% of that $6. I'm sorry, 20% of the $30. So you're going to make $6 a month. How many would like to have mailbox residual income? Maybe you're a driver, but you get a couple of people that do it. And I'm starting to switch my thinking. I used to think that the drivers would be so gung-ho and excited to go do this and get customers that they would go out and get as many customers as they want, because now they're getting not only paid on the driver part of it, they're also getting paid on the customer part of it. But I'm starting to realize I may need to just go out and start getting people that want to build huge sales teams of people and get customers. And believe me, those people are out there. Believe me, affiliate marketers are out there. Believe me, I can go spend $1 million of my own money and run ads and get the customers and all the drivers. You'll get that money, but you're going to have to work for it every time. My goal with drivers is so that you can take time off. If you had 150 customers who every single month they did a little bit, wouldn't you make something whether you were driving or not? So you could make $6 a month, or you can make $50 a year off of a customer. On the driver referral program, remember I told you $1 out of every ride mileage goes into the referral program. Now, the driver, if you recruit me and I do 10 rides in a day, you're going to make 20% of that $1, so 20 cents, which it doesn't sound like a lot of money, but 20 cents times 10 rides is $2. Now, if you had 100 of me out there doing that, how many think maybe you could take an extra day off? And what does the average driver make? 300, 400, 500 bucks on a day, on a good day? What if you had a bunch of drivers that you help support? Maybe you had drivers that you know around the country. You know, that's the thing that has not frustrated me, but challenged me a little bit to not understand why drivers aren't going, man, I'm going to get every customer I got. Because guess what? If I have 150 customers, next week I don't have to work. And it's so funny because I've had some people tell me, you're never going to get the drivers to change their mind. They're never going to change the way they do things. And I said, you know what? That's sad that you believe that. Because I have people that are in our company, they're in their 70s and 80s. I have a gentleman that's in his 70s who is so dialed in, fired up and excited. I talked to for about probably 30, 40 minutes today on the phone. And then I've got other people that are younger who have every opportunity, maybe have more energy, maybe have more time. They're not at the end of their business life, they're at the beginning, but they don't take advantage of opportunities. Opportunities are never lost. They just go to people that will take advantage of them. And so these aren't guaranteed. If you don't do it, you're not going to make anything. So again, like I told you, on $5 you make 20, that'll be $1. You'll make $1. Percent of $5 you make $1. 20% of $1 you make 20 cents. And this is not the right slide. I still haven't fixed that, so I apologize, my fault. But let's just use this theoretical example here. If you got to a point where outside of your driving, if you were, and listen, I'm challenging some of you that are marketers to go get as many customers as you possibly can. Like, I want us to have so many customers, the drivers aren't sitting around going, where's my rides? Where's my rides? They're sitting around going, I can't take this many. So we need to go get new drivers. So let's just say, though, you have 1,000 clients in a month and you made $1 off of each one of them. That's $1,000 residual passive income that you didn't have to work for. And you didn't have to call them up and ask them if they wanted to use the service. You didn't have to call them their own shampoo or jewelry that they don't reorder. People use the service because they like it. This is a $1 trillion industry around the world. Now, if you had 1,000 clients where you made $6, that's $6,000 residual income on a monthly basis, whether they rode with somebody else, whether they were in Montana, whether they were in New York City, you made money every time they did a ride. What if over the next 5 to 10 years, it takes you let's say it takes you 5 years, but you've got 3,000 clients that love the service so much, they want to save as much money as possible. So they pay $50 for the annual and you make 20% of that. I'm sorry, $250. And you make 20% of that, so you make 50, and you're making 150,000 residual income. Now, I know some people won't believe that it will ever happen, but there's a lot of cynical people in the world. And those people are usually the ones that, well, man, I had an opportunity to get, I had an opportunity to buy Facebook stock when it came out. I had an opportunity to buy Bitcoin when it was 13 cents. Those are usually the people that were wish, woulda, coulda, shoulda. And I've never wanted to be that person. I'd rather fail miserably than regret not taking advantage of something. So when I go in, I go all in. If you know my partner, Tony, when he goes in, he goes all in. He has invested $50 million of his own money into the blockchain technology to do what we're doing. And our program will be on the blockchain. We're going to have a lot of trainings come out with that. We're working on so many different things. But let's say you had 1,000 drivers that did 15 trips in a day. That's 15,000 trips in a month times 365 days at 20 cents. What if you made an extra $3,000 a day from having drivers make more money, teaching them how to be successful, supporting them, doing driver events, maybe doing trips for the drivers that you work with? And I know some people are going, this is never going to work. I should have tried this before. Guess what? There were a lot of people that tried to run a 4-minute mile before Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile. Now there's a lot of people since. There's a lot of people that said, we'll never be able to have a black president, but we did. So listen, everything can be broken. Things can be changed. There's people that said that Elon Musk would never make a company go with electric cars, but he's done it. How many think people told Steve Jobs he wouldn't make it? And let me tell you something. One of my favorite things right now that I watch almost every day is Dana White. He started the UFC, where he bought the UFC when it was floundering and nothing. And Dana White goes, you know what? I am going to make this. He goes, bet against me. He said some other choice words, but he goes, bet against me. Tell me it's not going to work. Tell me it's not going to happen. That just drives me even harder. And I know there's about 124 people on this call. Within 2 to 3 months, we'll be doing these calls. Some of you will be doing these calls, and I won't. And we'll have thousands of people in different countries around the world, because this is a global business. REVO is not just here. And REVO stands for revolution. That's what I want to do, is cause a revolution where people start going, you know what? There's a different way over here. Drivers don't have to get taken advantage of. Customers don't have to get monopolized. And there's only 2 companies in this, and they jack the prices as high as they want. Here's an opportunity over here, but revolution takes work. I'm not asking you to die for our revolution, but I'm telling you, you're going to have to put in some time, some blood, sweat, and tears. Now, I'm not going to get into all this. We can put it, I know Lisa probably can put this information in the in our deal tonight, because I really want to leave you with this. I'm going to open up the chat real quick. I don't want to take a lot of time tonight, because I'm really excited and we're really working hard on some stuff. So give me 1 second. I want to open up the chat because I want to bring somebody on in just a second. I cannot get this stinking chat to work tonight. What is going on? Mr. Casey, if you would raise your hand, if you know how to do that within here, I could probably, let me see if I can find you. I don't have to open the chat, which will actually, there it is. I'm going to ask him to unmute, but I want to introduce him real quickly. So I just want you to understand, the reason why I'm asking him to talk is because I met him at a couple of trainings. He's been around with Snap for a few years, and I met him at trainings, and he said he had other things going on, but he's one of those people that was just steadfast, watched what was going on, got some of the other things taken care of with him. And talking to him today just gave me such a, and a couple of talk today. I still get in my head every now and then, but it goes like that. It's there for a second and goes away, because I know exactly where we are, what we're doing, and how we're going to get there. But I wanted him to share we had a contest where he got started, and it was like towards the end. But I mean, he's up in Jacksonville, I think it is, and I think in that area. But I wanted him to tell you his story, because he became a part of our Founders Club, and some of you weren't able to get that, some of you were. But I wanted him to just share for about 30 seconds instead of hearing from me. Hear from Mr. Casey Reigert, and he can tell you a little bit about why he got involved with this, why he's still involved with this, why he stuck it out, where he sees this going in the next couple of months. And then I'm going to wrap up telling you something that I'm so fired up and excited about that's going to be coming very, very shortly for you guys. Mr. Reigert.
Can you hear me, Paul?
Can you talk? Yes, sir. First of all, I was meant to tell you earlier today when we talked, I feel like you have that Paul Harvey voice.
It is what it is.
I'm dating myself with my age a little bit, but you have that soothing, calming voice.
Well, speaking of age, I do want to correct something you said earlier, talking about young seniors like me being at the end of a business life. I feel like I'm at the very beginning of the best business life I've had. And
You were right. I was wrong. But most people, when they're in their 70s, they're like, yeah, I'm done. I'm ready to retire.
well, I figure I'll retire probably a couple weeks after I die, so that's not even an issue.
There you go. Me too.
And just and you let me know how much time I have, but just very
just
briefly,
2 or 3 minutes. I'd appreciate it.
that'd be fine. Because of what Snap has come to mean to me, I am more than happy to share that with people, hopefully for some inspiration. But to be as quick as possible, been an entrepreneur most of my life, self-employed most of my life, had some big successes and some that weren't so big, and really was not even looking for anything. I've got plenty to keep me busy if that's the way I want to go. But I really even quit looking at things. And I used to always look at things just to see what was out there. Well, one day I just thought, hey, I'm going to see what's out there, something new. Came across a Snap ad, and this was in December of 2021, and Snap was just a few months old at that time. And even I saw it, it caught my attention for several reasons. This was back when the focus was on restaurant delivery. And right off the bat, I noticed where this company intended to do restaurant deliveries for a cost of $2 per delivery to the restaurant owner. Well, I've been around that industry for many years, and that was like a big wow. So looked into it further, and I just saw different things there that I hadn't seen in anything for a long time. So I joined knowing that it would be at least a year and maybe even two that I would be able to actually participate, get active, because I had previous legal commitments, what really amounted to non-compete in a way with the business I was selling. But I joined, I got on Zoom calls. I actually started going to conferences, first one being in Vegas, been to probably at least a half a dozen in Palm Beach. And between the Zoom calls and attending these conferences, and especially meeting the people, and I cannot emphasize that enough to any new people on here, the people that I met from the beginning and to this day are a big reason why I had the faith and confidence in pursuing this. So literally for 2 years and a couple months, I did do a few small things. I was paid commissions in a very timely fashion, and even a pool bonus I didn't know I even had coming. And I thought, you just don't see that kind of integrity in these sorts of businesses very often. So stuck it out for 2 years and watched the growing pains, and because of my legal commitments, missed the beginning of the whole ERC thing, which kind of took everything over for a while because of the potential there, which has been proven many times over in our company. But I finally got to the point just a month or so ago where I was free of all those past obligations and ready to rock. So it was kind of getting very close to the end of the Founders Club promotion. And I at that point, I thought it was over. There's no way I was going to make the numbers. Well, there's a man in Snap in Tampa, Lon, who I hope all of you all get to meet him someday, because I'm not even in his downline, and the time he has given me and the support over the couple of years, just in conversation and meeting him at the different functions, conferences. And it was supposed to be over on a Friday night a couple of weeks ago. And I talked to Lon on Monday afternoon, and we were going to have a call Tuesday morning for REVO. And he said, hey, I hear that Paul may extend it till Friday, which literally gave me 4 days. And I just told myself, and people, please don't think I'm bragging, because I'm not. It's just, that's how seriously I take this opportunity. And I thought, well, I'll just kill myself to try and make this. And I actually did. By Friday afternoon, I think it was 63, and there's a few that didn't even register, but I did it. And it was just a really good feeling.
And
And
listen, you're not even telling the best part. Oh, it's not the best part, but like where you live, if anybody Googles spring break Jacksonville, they're probably going to see some riots and some pretty bad things happen. And you were walking your dog up and down the same thing. I was thinking about after you and I talked, because you said you were you were just out talking to people, right? Like not just people you knew. You took the shot and just got out in front of people that you didn't know, right?
that was out of the 63, somewhere between 63 and 67 that I registered. I would say at least 50 of them were absolute face-to-face cold calls, people I'd never seen or met in my life. And without it getting into a lengthy thing right now, first of all, I felt the pressure to get these numbers. I was like thinking, what is the best environment to put myself in to have a shot at this? And living here, like I live within 10 blocks of where all the action was in Jack's Beach Sunday night. I walk our dog, doing a socialization thing with her, and we walk down there all the time, that same time of night. And we were there the Friday and Saturday night right before, and just happened not to go Sunday night, thankfully, because I literally pulled probably a half a dozen signups out of the 3 bars that were involved in these shootings.
Let me tell you how sick my mind is. I was like, while run people and they have them in handcuffs, you got a captive audience. Like you could have sat down and gone, you're going to need a ride home from jail when you get bailed out. Like try REVO. I don't know if that's the marketing strategy you want, but kind of funny.
Well, on that note, and like I say, I was just trying to be as creative as possible, but being in a tourist area right here at the beach, I was thinking, well, people come here to chill, relax, have fun, what have you, and they usually are pretty chill. But what I did, I think it was the second day, was I stuck my head in a number of the bars right on the strip, and most of them are sort of semi-open air and have outdoor pavilions, that sort of thing.
Right.
And I'd go first to the bartender and just very briefly, and I have my own way of an opening comment, and really quickly to the point. I would sometimes mix different things in, but say to somebody, hey, you see on YouTube the guy in the street interviewing people and this and that. And I said, well, that's not me, but I have something very interesting if you got 1 minute. That's just, that wasn't even the main one. Probably the main one was, hey, I'm sure you and your family and friends are, familiar with Uber. Do you use them by any chance, or Lyft or Grubhub, DoorDash? And almost everybody would say yes, either they did or they knew somebody. And I said, well, if you have just a minute, my company's bringing a brand new Rideshare to this area, and we are going to just blow the others out of the water. There's good reason why. We're paying the drivers more, charging the customers less. We're able to do that because we don't spend the hundreds of millions in marketing. And it really was, the opener was about that brief. So if you got just a second, what I'm trying to do is get enough pre-launch registrations to justify making our area here one of the earlier ones to open. Can you help me out with just this registration? There's no cost, no commitment or obligation to use us. We're just simply trying to provide a much better option to the neighborhood, so to speak. And it was amazing. Nobody likes the other ride shares anymore. I didn't have anybody say, well, I'd prefer to use Uber.
Right.
And, a lot of interest. And then as they were filling out, I carry my tablet and my phone. I have the tabs on the home screen. I can hit a tab and registration's right there.
Awesome.
Sometimes I had people filling out both of my devices at the same time, you know, sitting there together at the bar or whatever. And I mean, it just, by the second day, I could see that it could happen. And by the third day, I was just, you know, you couldn't even talk to me. I was so obsessed with all this.
That's
But
awesome.
anyway, what I want to, Paul, as important as all that. So anyway, folks, I made my numbers, and I want to tell you that the feeling, I hadn't had that feeling in a long time, and I'm still riding that feeling even more so. To be able to talk to Paul for that long, and just, you know, we'd met before, but never had a conversation like that. And that just meant the world. But what I want to say to wrap this up is what has kept me here all along more than anything are the people. I've had incredible support from the office. Just like today, Paul made himself totally accessible. And of course, I think he knows that, you know, I'm really into it, and I am. But, and another couple of things real quick was, you know, a lot of startups, they lack experience, they lack leadership, and for sure, most of them lack funding. I've never, ever seen any of those lacks in this company. And I've also, in over 2 years, nobody has ever asked me to pay for anything. You know, if you want to get business cards, flyers, they're there. You want to pay to go to a convention, I would strongly recommend the conventions. The vibe there is just off the chart, and Snap does it right. But once again, it's the people, and you'd
Well,
have to
I
fry my
appreciate you
hand
sharing
away.
that.
Anyway, thank you for the time,
No, I
Paul.
appreciate you sharing that, you know, and that's the thing that really always, I don't build companies for products. I don't build companies for money. Like I said it on a call the other night, I said, listen, you could give me $100 million in 5 years. I would have given it out to a bunch of people, spend it on stupid stuff. Like I like to take care of people. Like that's what I like to do. And it's like, sometimes people think I'm rough. Sometimes people think I'm gruff. Sometimes people think that, you know, I say things in ways that they don't like it. But I had mentors who really cared about me as a person. I have mentors that I had 30 years ago that are still in my life today. And there's times where I did things and they're like, don't do that. And I went and did it anyway. And I always regretted it. But
Well,
at 53
Paul,
years old, I still have people that are mentoring me.
if you, if I can just say one more thing,
Yeah.
over the years, I have been fortunate to be in the right place at the right time a number of times. I was one of the very first. I mean, at 23 years old, I was working at a friend of mine's dad's Cadillac dealership when the very first Sevilles came out. And I was making over 100 grand for a couple of years at 23 years old selling Cadillacs. Uh, I was one of the first mini dish dealers for DirecTV, Dish, and right place, right time, made a fortune. There's been some other several without getting into them all, but that's the thing about Snap. It is an opportunity unlike any I've ever seen. And I've seen a bunch and done a bunch. And what Snap gives us, the resources, you know, you have a professional back office that doesn't cost you a penny. There's, you know, I mean, the free we always talk about. Just, I mean, everything is there. All we got to do is put ourselves into it, and, you know, forget about the next shiny object. You got to park yourself somewhere to do something. And this is where I parked my car. So,
Well, good. I'm glad you found that parking spot with us for sure. I appreciate you sharing. I don't want to take too much more of everyone's time, but what I want to do real quickly is tell you something that, like, we have ideas that come from everywhere. And I know some of you put some stuff in the Q&A. If you have questions, please direct them to support at revoride.com. If you want to send it to Snap, you can do that. But like, that's where the questions should all go. On these calls, sometimes we do, you know, we answer people's questions. Tonight, we're not doing that. But I wanted to share something with you that when we find a problem, I find a solution. And if I don't find the solution, it usually comes to me because I'm open. It usually comes to somebody else in the company because they're open. You know, I've never seen a statue erected to a critic. I have seen statues erected to people that just never quit, that had that go after it attitude. And one of the things I found out in Miami is that, you know what, we opened the city and there weren't a lot of rides coming through. And then when we started getting the rides through, we had one day we had 8 rides come through, and the drivers, they sent it to the driver. The driver saw it and then made the decision like they did in Uber. Oh, that's not far enough. I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to do that. That's too far for me to drive. Instead of, we're building a company, I'm going to take every ride. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I know they're going to get things fixed on the backside. Just cancel. And some people freaked out. Oh my gosh, we're going to look horrible. We're going to go out of business because we didn't get 8 rides. I would encourage you to go watch the movie Super Pumped. It is, I think it's on Showtime. I think it's actually on Netflix now. And it's about how Uber started. I promise you, they had way more problems than we had, and they were extremely successful and still are to this day. Now, they don't treat people right, but we had a problem with that. And I'm like, all right, I don't want to open another city until I can be sure that the drivers are going to take the orders when they come in. Because if they're not, it does no good for me to try to open a city. Now, if the drivers aren't going to do what they're supposed to do, I can go get the customers, but I don't want to compete with the field. I want the field to be able to go, I'm going to get all these customers so I can make that 20% off of that $5, off of that, $30, or off the $250. That's what I want. But I will make sure this company is successful no matter what. I got an email from a gentleman, and he said, I have something I want to talk to you about. I think it would be something good for the company, but he didn't elaborate. And I don't check my Facebook very often, because usually Facebook is a cesspool. People each other how bad they hate each other. And so I don't even check my stuff very much. But because of the company and things like that, I was going through my Facebook, and a gentleman named Mario said, I have an idea. And it was last night. He sent it yesterday. Well, 2 days ago, I was in a Marriott restaurant bar right by my house. I go there. One of the guys there he's a bartender, but he also owns a transportation service. And I'm working on something to bring hourly car rates into the company so drivers can utilize their vehicles for even longer trips, and not just Suburbans and Escalades and limos. We're working on that. But I was standing there at the bar. I was having my dinner like I usually do there. And this gentleman came up that was staying at the hotel, and he said to the bartender, hey, how long is it going to take me to get in an Uber from Marriott on Singer Island to Fort Lauderdale? And the bartender's working with me, and he said, well, when are you leaving? He goes, my flight's at like 5 or 6:30 a.m. And he goes, oh, you're going to need to leave about an hour and a half earlier just to get down there. So you're going to probably want to, call your car and schedule it at like 3 in. And I didn't even pay attention to it, but the scheduling part of it stuck in my head just a tiny bit. And then yesterday, Mario sent this email in, and I said, I'll get to him. I'll call him. But he was smart, and he went into my Facebook, and, as things happen when you're being positive and you're being nice, I'm really receptive to people that are nice, not so receptive to people that think they know everything. I have people that'll send me messages, goes, I've done 6,000 rides, and I've done this, and I've done that. And I'll just be honest with you, I don't care. I'm not trying to be mean, but I don't care. I care what we're doing now. I have so many people. I was thinking of talking to Casey about it today. I said, listen, when I talk to someone from a network marketing company, and anytime somebody puts me on the phone with somebody that is looking at our company, they always say, this person was a top producer in this company. This person was I've never met a non-top producer. Like, I've never had somebody go, listen, I'm going to put you on the phone with somebody, but they were in the lower third of the bottom half of this company. Unfortunately, that's where most of us have ended up. I got started in a company when I first started. I started making $8,000 a month, but I was still in the bottom third of the lower half of that company. And I got successful because it just happened. And I got caught up in the momentum, and some of you are going to have that. But I got on the phone. He sent a message in last night, and he goes, Paul, I have an idea how we can open up cities faster. And he led with that, as in opposed to going, this is what's wrong, that's what's wrong. He came out with a sense of contribution and said, I'm so excited. He really didn't even say he was excited. I don't even know if he was excited. But he goes, I think this is a way. What if we turned on cities and the only thing they could do in the beginning is scheduled rides? And I looked at it and I thought for a second, and I'm like, that's not gonna work. But then I was like, maybe it will. Because what if we did it, and this is going to happen in the next, and I can't tell you it's going to happen tomorrow. I can't tell you it's going to happen next, but we already have a scheduling feature built into it. But we're going to start it, and I can't, just please don't start beating me up and asking me every day. And I know you're still going to, because you're going to ask it in a different way. You're going to go, oh, so how are things going? And you're going to try to sneak this in. I will tell you this right now. Last night, when I found out about this idea and we started talking about it, I got on the phone with James, our developer. I was on the phone with him till about 2 a.m. I got up 2 hours later, started driving here, and he was still working on this with his team. So at some point in the very near future, we will open every city, but we'll only open it for scheduled rides. Now, my long-term vision for this is for each driver to have their own calendar. I have a calendar used through Calendly. I don't use it right now because I'd be inundated. I wouldn't get anything done. But when we were doing ERC, I had a calendar where I could have people go to my calendar and book 30-minute time slots with me all day. That is my goal. I would love it for some of you to have your own calendar where you go in there and every time you have customers that go, you know what? I love working Casey. I love working with John Ogden or Rodney or Aaron or Alex or any of the people, 140, 136 people that are on here. And they fill up your time slots to where you block off maybe from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. You block off, you don't take any, but you're busy from the time you turn on your app to the time you stop. And you've got things scheduled and you can start building your own clientele and you can start having people. Now, we're going to have to build some things into it. But in the beginning, we're going to have it where it's only scheduled rides, but that means we can open your cities faster. That means you can start getting your own customers and you can start having them have that stickiness to you. Now, if you don't accept that ride, it'll go in and other drivers can take. But that's an enormous way for us to open a city and then teach the drivers how to go out and get their own business like that. You could go from having 0 rides on the first day, you could have 10 rides if you did it right. And you can start building that and it's, stuck to you. My goal is to make it so that you build a business within our company, but it's your business. Like it's your people. And we're going to teach people at our training seminars and things of that nature. Now, I'm going to ask everyone to lower their hands. I'm going to lower your hands. Now, I'm asking you from the bottom of my heart, don't beat up our staff. Don't be sending emails every 5 minutes. Give us a couple of weeks and you may be surprised it may happen sooner than that. But if you agree to give us time to do this and then to roll it out all at once, we'll be able to get we're working on the algorithms to make sure all the pricing is not too low, but not too high either. And so that takes some work. And we knew this was we're less than a month into our business. And we opened on March 1st, and some people think we should be better in Uber and Lyft and DoorDash and Net and everything else put together. And we're less than a month in. But if you will do me a favor, if you agree, please raise your, however you raise your hand on Zoom, raise your hand that you won't come after. Oh, that's awesome. I really appreciate it. And the people that don't raise your hand, I'll be contacting you personally. I'm just kidding. I won't. But I really know this is going to be something. And I told Mario, I'm going to make you famous. And he was one of the most unassuming people. He wasn't out for the glory. He just thought it would be a great idea. And that's what I love about what we're doing as a company and where we're going with this is we'll take ideas no matter where they come. Now, not every idea is going to be great. Don't get your feelings hurt if we don't use your idea right away. But my mom used to say, I'm not saying no. And I go, well, it sure sounds like you're saying no because you use the word no. And she goes, no, I mean, not right now. So that may not be something you have an idea for that'll work right now, but maybe 6 months down the road. So I'd appreciate, some of you are participating. Some of you still aren't participating by raising your little hand in the thing. Some of you don't even know how to raise your hand. But I just want you to know from the bottom of my heart, none of this is done with a spirit of how much money Tony and I can make. It's done with the spirit of how can we make this better for you every single day? If we're not getting better every day and we're getting worse and we're not coming up with better ideas, we're not coming up with ways to take care of you, then I would tell you to go somewhere else. But I would also tell you, if you've got that attitude that like, this is how we've always done it, this is what I've done in my past, then I would tell you to go somewhere else too. Because I promise you, I'm one of the most understanding, caring people. I'll give you everything. But the minute you come at me, you're not going to like me anymore. Because I'm not a wimp. I'm not a baby. I've been beaten up. I've been, I've had everything stolen from me. I've had people try to ruin my companies. I'm not the word I want to use right now, but I have a backbone. I was taught years ago that there's people that can't stick up for themselves, and I want to do it for other people. And some of you in the next 6 months to a year are going to be so surprised where you are if you'll just give up a little bit. Like, stop trying to be right all the time. Just go, man, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to put everything I got into this. If you put a year and a half into this and you don't want out of it, can't you go back and get a job? Can't you go back and do something else? Can't you go back and fall back or go back to Uber or Lyft or whatever's around? But what if you take the chance? What if you take a shot at doing what we're doing and you give us a little bit of time? Give it, and when I start talking about it, Evelyn and Lisa and the staff are all going, oh God, he did it in. But I'm just asking you to give us, but I'm here in New Orleans. I'm going to be in Nashville on Monday and Tuesday. If you're in those areas, come meet me. Come spend some time. If you're down here in New Orleans, I'm going to be around all day tomorrow. I'm meeting with a gentleman here. I've got some time in the afternoon. We're going to go to dinner tomorrow evening. I would love to meet you if you're in this area or, up in the, in the other area. Now, listen, there's still a bunch of you that didn't hit the button for raising your hand. I'm going to start going out. I'm just kidding. So you're going, oh, that's harsh. Listen, I got called out. Alex Scar, I am going to call you out. Now that there he goes. Look at that. He just wanted me to yell at him. Just kidding. Listen, guys, I'm not going to take any more of your time, but just know if you got good ideas, send them to us. If you think it's a bad idea, listen, send it. Like, I won't guarantee you that I'm going to get right back to you, but I will promise you this. If I think it's something that's going to benefit everyone in the company, I'm going to go after it with everything I got. We're good. Like he said, we're financed. Tony put of his own money, 10 of it, 50 million total, 15 that he put up front. And then we got to pay out the rest of it over the years. But 10 of that went to build REVO's blockchain and the things that we're doing with that. We only put our time and effort where our money is, where we put our mouth, we put our backbone, we put everything we've got into going after something. And one thing that stuck with me, and I've heard Tony say this many times, but the other night on our TNT training call, Tony said, listen, being in the right place at the right time is important. And I know all of you, if you're on here tonight, you believe that you're in the right place at the right time and that this is ready for disruption. Going ERC, gung-ho, not like that's all he's talked about for 2.5 years. Even with Snap, he got it, but ERC was where he put all his time. He still did calls. He still talked to people. He helped a lot of you make a lot of money. But I watched him make a shift, and he said, listen, being in the right place at the right time is important, but taking the immediate and massive action is how you become successful. And I've watched him do that over the last 60 days. And that's like, I talk about some of the other verticals and things that we do, but I'm telling you right now, there's nothing more important to me than REVO. There's nothing more important to me than Rally that's coming out. And there's nothing more important to me than our blockchain project. And there should be nothing more important to you than that. I have one of the guys that I've been with for the longest working with me. His name's Pedro. He was up till 4 a.m. the other night studying blockchain, studying how this stuff works within our company. So I'm just telling you guys, you got the opportunity to take immediate and massive action, which means I'll do more calls if it'll help. I'll do more trainings if it'll help. I know some of you are going, man, where's our video? That website you got, revoride.com, looks like a 2-year-old did it. You're right. But guess what? We want to make sure the app was right, that people understood that our product works before we made everything look pretty. Now, I've got our main guy that does all our websites working on that right now. He's working on a 2-minute, 30 second to a minute sizzle video. We're going to start doing that. I just got the list finally of all the training videos we need. I'll probably cut some of those tomorrow. but we're doing these things a little bit at a time. So when the momentum hits, you'll be, some of you don't know what's going to hit you when this momentum hits with this thing. We've got over 10,000 people that signed up without even a ride being done. Can you imagine when we got rides going in all these cities? We're in 15 different countries. We're in Canada. We're everywhere else. It's going to be fun. So appreciate you jumping on with us tonight. Make sure that you, real quickly, I know some of my voice is about to go, but I know some of you are still asking about the founders program. We've got most of the people, but we wanted to give you one last chance. If you think you made it, or you know you made it, please send an email to support@revoride.com with your name, your email, and your phone number. And we want to make sure that we check everything, because I don't want to come up and announce it and then we left somebody off the list and they're going, I was on it. Now, this is your last shot. Now make sure you're on it. If there's a problem, we'll fix it. But we want to try to make sure we don't miss anyone. And the people that worked hard at it, they know they made it. So send an email into support by midnight on Sunday of this weekend. And then on Monday or Tuesday, whenever we do the next thing, I will get with you and we will give you out. We'll get you some certificates. I know we have at least over 30 people that we know for sure have qualified for it. We'll do a conference call with them. We have our meeting down here on the next month. We'll do something. Maybe we'll have a breakfast on the morning of Saturday. You can come in on Friday. We'll get together, have some breakfast on water or something like that. So I appreciate you. I still went an hour, even though I was going to go 30 minutes, but I'm excited. I hope you are too. And thanks, guys. Have a great night.